مشهد حلم كل من يحب يربط نسي المحتار. مشهد حلم كل من يحب يربط نسي المحتار. وديت لك شوقي وجرح رحيم للتزوار. طيشني لك ملقى وبجي جويلي قلبي بنار. مثلي الخدم هاي تجي رزقنا طبل الدار.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم و به نستعین انه خیر ناصر و معین و الصلاة و السلام علی اشرف الانبیاء و المرسلین ابی القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل علی محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجهم و علی اهل بیت الطیبین الطاهرین المعصومین لا سیما بقیة الله الاعظم روحی و ارواح العالمین بترام مقدمه الفداء و اللعن الدائم علی اعدائهم اجمعین من الان الى لقاء یوم الدین. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة في كل الساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه ورزقته وتمتعه فيها طويلا. Illuminate your hearts with a salawat upon Muhammad and his family. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجهم. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Most welcome to the shrine of Imam Rida alayhi salam. From this blessed land we are going to talk about some ahkams about the month of mercy, the month of forgiveness, this blessed month, the month of Ramadan. So before talking about some ahkam of this blessed month, inshallah we are going to talk about some matters and issues. Actually, we have to aware about the ahkam of this month. One of the most matters and terms that we are going involved with this is the terms of fasting, or we call it in Arabic Sawm. But what's the meaning of Sawm? If we want to define this term, we have to say Sawm or fasting means refraining of the invalidators actually with another condition, and the second condition is with the intention of obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the two conditions of fasting or Sawm. So the first one is refrain from the mubtalat, or which called are invalidators, and the second condition is with the intention of obeying Allah, or in Arabic we say qurbatan ilallah. These are the two conditions of fasting or Sawm. But here is a very important that I'm going to share with you. All of us, our ritual deeds, all of us, our ahkams, they have to be performed on a specific and clear frameworks. This is the key of your ritual deeds, that if you perform these kind of ritual deeds on their own and specific frameworks, then they would be accepted. Otherwise, no. This is the key that you have to care about. And actually, this kind of frameworks that I told you is the key work of our ritual deeds. And actually, these kind of divine laws and commands from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have to care about are very important. So if we don't care about these kind of frameworks, then even our wajibat, our obligatory a'mal would be haram. Maybe these questions comes and raise in your minds that how is it possible that, for example, namaz, salat, praying, or even fasting, they are wajib, but it becomes haram. Is it possible? The answer is yes, it's possible. But how? For example, we are going to talk about fasting or Sawm. We have 4 types of fasting. The first type is wajib, or we say obligatory, like the fast of Ramadan or the fast of qadha. The second type is actually the mustahab fasting or Sawm. Like, for example, the fasting in the month of Rajab or Sha'ban or any celebrations that we have. For example, in the Eid al-Qadir, actually fasting. We have mustahab fasting. The third type, which is makruh, that if you don't care about, it would be makruh, is the fasting of Day of Ashura, or the fasting of guest in the house of host. That, for example, if you were invited to your house of your friend, and without his permission or he is unsatisfied of your fasting, then your fasting would be makruh. And the fourth type of fasting, which is haram, is like the day of Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Qurban, or even the last day of Sha'ban or the first day of Ramadan. How? For example, today is the last day of Sha'ban or even the first day of Ramadan, but I'm not sure which one of these days would be. I'm not sure that it's the first day of Sha'ban, or this is the last day of Sha'ban, or the first day of Ramadan. But I'm going to take fast with the intention of the first day of Ramadan, or I'm going to take fast with the last day of Sha'ban. This kind of fasting would be haram. Why? Because they don't perform under specific frameworks. Their frameworks should be what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala command us and He asks us to follow. So we understand that all of these fasting, they have to be under frameworks. And actually, as we are going to close to end of the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, month of Ramadan, I think we have to care about one important ahkam and things. And the matter is Kaffarah or Fidyah, that we are going inshallah talk about both of them. But what's the Kaffarah and what's Fidyah? Kaffarah, if I want to define for you, Kaffarah linguistically means cover. I think all of you heard this Arabic term that Allahumma kaffir anna sayyi'atana. Oh Allah, I'm going to ask you to please forgive us, to please actually cover our sins. This is very important. But what does it mean? In our issue, I mean fasting, when a person, he or she, deliberately breaks his or her fast, here he should be pay kafara. Why? Because of as a penalty for his or her breaking the fast. Here is the point. And actually, we are going to talk about different kind of kafara that inshallah in our talking. Well, kafara is a great opportunity to expiate this kind of sin that we were committed. And actually, the point is, this kind of kafara that we are going to pray, it should be, and breaking, it should be without any excuse. It means that if you have any kind of excuse, then it won't need to pay kafara. So let's talk about different kind of kafara. The first type of kafara is when a person, he or she deliberately breaks his or her fasting without any excuse. So, for example, if a person, he or she is traveling to a country or city or whenever, he shouldn't pay kafara, right? But if he or she breaks his or her fasting without any excuse and intentionally, he or she should pay kaffarah. But how? In this aspect and on this actually part and type, if a person deliberately breaks his or her fasting, he or she first of all should be provide qaza as the first of actually expedite for his or her fasting. The second thing that he or she should provide is, but here is optional, I mean the second penalty and second part, he or she has option to feed 20 he or she is optional to feed 60 poor or needy person, but here is he or she at least should pay and feed the poor people and needy people at least 750 gram of wheat, barley, rice or dates. It's up to him or her. And maybe these questions that you have asked us, that how is it possible that we find 60 poor people? It's not possible for us. The answer is there is no problem. You can pay the amount of this feeding to the agent or representative of your marja in your own city or in your own country. That then they have to be paid, and it's nothing on your shoulder. This is the first part that I said that is optional. This is the first part. The second part that you can pay is you have to, and you can actually fasting 60 days, but it should be follow as this manner. What's this? You have to be fasting 31 days consecutively. I mean continuously you have to fasting. And about the rest of the days, 29 days is up to you. You can perform 29 days of fasting whenever you want. But about 31 of days, you have to pay them continuously. This is the point that we have to care about. So if a person deliberately breaks his or her fasting in the month of Ramadan, he or she should follow two things. First of all, he or she should follow qaza, and the second point is she or he should feed 60 poor people, or he or she should actually fasting 60 days. The second aspect of kaffarah is kaffaratul qaza. What does it mean? If a person, he or she travel to a place or wherever he wants, then he or she come back to his or his own city. After a while, he or she should do qaza of his or her fasting. But here is the point, that for example, I travel to a country today, and about 2 or 3 or after the month of Ramadan, I come back to my own city, and I am going to do qaza of because of my fasting that I breaks in the month of Ramadan. Here is a point, that if you intended to perform the qaza, you are not allowed to break your qaza fasting after the adhan zuhr or noon adhan. It means that I have this option to break before the adhan. So if I breaks the qaza of the fasting of the month of Ramadan after the azan zuhr or noon prayer, I have to pay kaffarah. How much is it? It's about feeding 10 poor people. How much is it? 750 grams of wheat, barley, dates, rice, or whatever is permitted. So here was the second point. The third part of Kaffarah that I am going to inshallah share with you is the Kaffarah to Ta'khir. But I have to actually add this point to my previous aspect of Kaffarah, that if you are going to pray if you're going to actually do your fasting, Kaffarah to Qadha, you have two options: feeding 10 peoples, or if you are not able to feed 10 peoples because of your financial circumstances and your matters, you could actually fast 3 days instead of feeding 10 peoples. So it's up to you. The third aspect of Kaffarah is Kaffaratul Ta'khir. It means that if I travel to a country or a city as a traveler, I have time to perform the qadha of my fasting until the next Ramadan. So I have this time to do qadha. But if I miss it, if I don't care about the doing qadha of my missing fast until the next Ramadan, I have to pay kaffarah. How much is it? It's about 750 grams of wheat, barley, dates, whatever is permission to poor or needy persons. We also have something which called Fidyah. But what's Fidyah? Fidyah is usually given by those individuals who are unable, here's the point, unable to fast due to legitimate reasons. But who are they? The first part and first category of the people who are unable to do fasting are the old women or men. For example, our grandfather, grandmother, they are their ages is up to 70, 80, and because of their actual ages, they're not able to get fasting. So they have to pay Fidyah. The second part is people who are suffering from thirst problem or sickness. For example, if I get fasting, that thirsty makes me so in a trouble. So it's possible that I don't get fasting and I have to pay Fidyah. The third part is the pregnant lady, and the fasting is harmful for herself and her baby. The fourth part is a lady who breastfeeding and her fasting decreases her milks. And the fifth and the last part is actually the person who is his sickness is extended until the next Ramadan. So this kind of people, they have to pay Fidyah instead of Kaffarah. How much is it? It's 750 grams of food because of per days that they have missed. The final points I want to share about is that who the Kaffarah is given to. We can pay our Kaffarah to the people who are suffering from their own expenditures. I mean, they need extra help. So the persons who are struggling with their daily expenses or with basic necessities, we can give our Kaffarah to this kind of people. But it's performed and highly recommended to pay to the believers of Ahlul Bayt and the people who are believes in Velaya. And actually, because it's a wajib payment, you have to give it to Muslim. It's not a sadaqah or donation that you are free to pay to whoever you want to pay. No, because it's a wajib sadaqah and actually payment, you have to pay this to a Muslim. And actually, there are some notes that I'm going to inshallah share with you. The first one is it paying of money would be sufficient? No. You have to pay, you have to feed the poor people or needy people. But you could make the poor people, the needy people, as your agent to go and buy something for her or his own self. The second note and question is, if a pregnant lady missed her fasting, she should pay Fidyah or her husband. If a person, because of her pregnancy, she missed her fasting, she should pay her Fidyah, and it's not something on her husband to pay her Fidyah, but it's as a ethic suggestion. It's better that her husband pay the Fidyah of her wife. And the last part is a last note: does the kaffarah recur? I mean, if a person deliberately breaks his or her fasting during the month of Ramadan twice, for example, I ate juice at 1 p.m. and at 4 p.m. I ate a food, am I paid to twice kaffarah? No. There is an exception, and the exception is that some Rajas, they said that when it comes to masturbation or sexual intercession, you have to pay double actually kaffarah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with these ahkams on the month of Ramadan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.